faculty members, they all are research scholars. So good afternoon and welcome all participants on the fourth day of the 5 days capacity enhancement training workshop on the topic role of teachers in fostering entrepreneur skills in students for New India. Just a quick recap of yesterday's program. We had an excellent sessions by respected Professor Sanjeev Chaturvedi on the role of universities in developing small and medium enterprises. Our second speaker was Professor Srinivas, who spoke on creating green entrepreneur culture at university. Both the sessions were too good and captivating and full of examples and case studies to enhance the teaching learning process. Many relevant questions were posted by you all enthusiastic and active participants and were answered by our esteemed speakers, which made the platform very vibrant, energetic, and lively. So we look forward to have yet again a grateful and fruitful day. Today also we have a great academician to deliver her talk, respected Professor Sampati Guha. Am I right in pronouncing your name, Professor Guha? Professor Guha, can you hear me? I think some internet problem is there at her part. She is a professor and chair, Center for Social Entrepreneurship, School of Management and Labor Studies, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. And we have another respected speaker for the day, Professor R. Natarajan, who is a former chairman, AICT, and former director, IIT Madras. Now we are starting with our first session of the day. We are very delighted and pleased to have with us today respected Professor Guha, who is working as a professor at the Center for Social Entrepreneurship, School of Management and Labor Studies at Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai. Professor Guha is a development economist and has done her PhD in economics from Javedpur University in 2004. After her PhD, she worked in reputed institutes such as Indian Institute of Dalit Studies, New Delhi, and Institute of Rural Management, Gujarat. In 2016, she was elected as Sir Ratan Tata Fellow at London School of Economics and Political Science, UK, for her postdoctoral studies. In 2007, she has joined Tata Institute of Social Sciences and launched a new MA program in social entrepreneurship. She, along with her colleague, Professor Satyajit Mujumdar, set up Social Incubation Center at the Center for Social Entrepreneurship, School of Management and Labor Studies, Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, supported by UGC in 2011. She has mentored more than 50 social startups. Her area of research are microfinance, women entrepreneurship, micro enterprises, social entrepreneurship, financial inclusion, and development economics. She has published various articles in national and international journals and, of course, in books. We are very happy to have you today with us, Professor Guha, and you are taking the session today on the topic role of teachers in nurturing entrepreneur thoughts among students in higher education institutes. Thank you, and over to you. I think she has some, again, technical glitch. Thank you, Dr. Varsha, for giving your answer. Most welcome to Amity University. We welcome you whenever you want to come. Please just drop us a message. We will show you our this department, and you will be delighted to see that beautiful paintings are displayed over there with us, which are made by our students. Good afternoon, Dr. Deepa Bhattacharya Mandal. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Dr. Tanima Sharma. I think she has some technical glitch, that's why. So just bear for 5 minutes. Dr. Bhavna is asking, can we have the email IDs of the speakers, please? In case we have questions down the line, we would like to connect with them. Definitely, Dr. Bhavna, I would like to share the email IDs of all the members who took the sessions. I will ask them and I will definitely share their email IDs with you all. There is some technical glitch at Professor Guha's part. She has, I think, joined again. Professor Guha, are you there? Mubin, Maksud, is it possible? I hope there is no problem in the panelist link.
No, ma'am, I think there is some problem. There is some bandwidth issue at Professor Guha, ma'am.
Okay.
Start the presentation. Sanjana ma'am, you are
Yes,
mute.
yes, we can see you now very well. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm directly starting the presentation.
Okay, fine.
Did you finish your part or you want to say
No,
something?
ma'am, please share your presentation and go ahead.
Okay.
Ma'am, you can turn off your camera. So I think there is some bandwidth issue from your end. Yes. Now you
Okay.
can. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Fine. So I'm share my PPT. Are you all seeing the PPT?
Yes,
The full
yes.
screen mode?
Yes.
Yeah. So today's topic is role of teachers in nurturing entrepreneurial thoughts among students in ATI, and this is I'm doing nurturing the students for last 15 years, and some of my readings, some of my experiences, which uh, helped me to design this whole session. So, if we start with how do we see entrepreneurs, because we need to make an entrepreneurial ecosystem, and where students are also feeling that they can start. So, if I look at the uh, you know uh, heartbreaking work or recent works also, generally we say that entrepreneurs are passionate, and their passion is also created by entrepreneurial efforts. Sometimes their entrepreneurial efforts also create passion. There are several entrepreneurs who said that that was not my choice, I have to start because other a lot of entrepreneurial efforts, and slowly passion is also built. Now,
I think there is
What is happening with MET and TISS? I was talking and somehow I found that my slides are not there. My voice is also breaking up. Oh my God. Am I clear? Am I clear now?
Yes, now you're clear. Yeah.
Okay. So we also talk about entrepreneurs that they have alternative thinking, pattern. They're innovative. They always learn from failures. These are all very existing literature. And even if talk with the entrepreneurs, also they say. And I feel that the theory is saying that risk taking. They are risk takers. I would like to say that most of them don't like to take the risk. They are the risk manager. Yeah, risk is there. If they don't manage that risk, they might not progress. So, uh, and their persistence level is very, very high. Now, if I go to the Makkah of entrepreneurship, that is the Babson College, this very old college in USA where the whole movement of entrepreneurship started. And if you take the name, any name like Candida Bruce or Talepari and then Allen, all come from this Babson College, and I had a great opportunity to visit this college and to it's really troublesome, really troublesome. I don't know, never ever we are taking so many classes and I don't know what happened.
Possible to take up from your mobile if it is
It's
feasible.
difficult from mobile. How do I show the PPT and all this?
Yes,
That's
yes.
my problem. Let's start. So Anjana ma'am, can
Yes.
I send you the PPT and you can run the PPT and I can join from the laptop?
You just forward your PPT to who's this? Mubin, can we forward the PPT to you? Can you help us to play?
Yes, ma'am. I can share the PPT.
But
Mubin, just
email ID?
share your email ID to. Can you write on the chat box, Mubin?
Okay,
Yeah.
ma'am. I'm giving this my ID.
In the meantime, I will start from the.
Yes, Mubin has written
Ah,
his email ID.
okay.
Just share your email, your PPT with him.
Yes, yes. I'm sending.
Have you done that now?
Have you got? Have you got the PPT?
Yeah, Mubin, you just check once.
Yes, ma'am. I'm checking, ma'am. Give me 1 minute, ma'am.
Yeah.
Professor Guha, in the meantime, you can just go
Yeah.
ahead. We'll just
Yes.
start it. Yeah.
Okay.
So you
Okay.
can open your video if possible.
Yeah.
Can you open your video? Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. No, I can. Somebody said that video. I have to switch off video so that I can get some more. Bandwidth issue हो सकता है.
Okay. Okay.
Somebody told. Education, because generally if you see that entrepreneurship is taught um, in the management school, the problem is with all the teachers, the management teachers, how do we teach a discipline that may not conform to our traditional notion of scientific management rationality? Because in the entrepreneurship area, you can see that most of the entrepreneurs, whatever the decision they take, you might not see any rationality. Huh. So, entrepreneurship. So then, Venkataraman and all these, they are from West Virginia, the School of Darden, the business schools, and it's basically doing very well in the area of entrepreneurship. So Venkataraman, Sada Saraswati, all the professors are coming from that school. They said that entrepreneurship is conceived narrowly as business activities, but if you look at the broadly, it also includes some individual traits, particular actions, existence of opportunities, and all this. And also another uh, courses should be more open, creative focus on product and service, creative design, creative problem solving, leadership skill development, organizing communities. They all very focus about it, because at the end of the day, an entrepreneur, they have to take their product and services to the communities and the societies. So, along with all the managing, creative, all these activities, we also need the organization capability and the leadership. So, if I look at the conceptual framework from the study, the entrepreneurial thought, how it influenced the whole entrepreneurship ecosystem. This thought, if I have thought about entrepreneurial thought, it also creates a lot of passion in me, and I also take up from the thought in the action. That is the entrepreneurial action, and passion and action, they have the two-way relationship. So passion can influence the action, action can influence the passion. Okay, so now we need to think, if this is so, then to work on all these concepts, what we need to do. So how do we bring entrepreneurial thought among the students in higher education system? So first of all, the entrepreneurial education the education
Maksud, are you sharing this PPT?
No, ma'am. Professor Guha, ma'am, is she's sharing the PPT, ma'am.
You have not
I
received.
still don't have received, ma'am.
Dear participants, I have requested her to join through her mobile. So no need to show the PPT if she can just give us her thoughts like that. Participants, just bear with us for some time as she is having some technical issue at her own platform. Thank you, Roshan. Dr. Roshan, thank you for your comment. Okay, ma'am, no issue. Sometimes just technical glitches are there during such programs. So where we have, we don't have any other alternative. I will definitely share her PPT to all of you. Don't worry about that. I will request her to share her PPT and I will share it with you all. Yes, Dr. Roshan, these things are beyond our control. So I'm requesting her. Hello. Maksud, what is her link? Can you forward her link to me? I will send her on
Okay,
WhatsApp.
okay, ma'am.
among the students in HEI. So first thing is that we need to facilitate to recognize the entrepreneurial opportunity, and if we recognize, how we act on that. And the second aspect of the education is how to manage the new ventures. And how would it be possible? We first we need to exercise two things among the students. One is personal agency and engage in exploratory behavior. Okay, so when I say the personal agency, so educators, they need to do basically create a learning environment in which the students can exercise personal agency. That means the ability to accomplish the action. So whatever the action I am thinking to take up, and when I take up, I should accomplish that action. So that is we call the personal agency that we need to nurture. And second thing is that behave exploratively to transform experience into knowledge. So how do we do that? That we will help to design the assignments or any of the class so that the students can take up new actions which are distinct from what they have already done up to their UG level or higher secondary level. So something new so that they can explore. Now this explorative behavior and the personal agency, it also involves lot of entrepreneurial actions, and these entrepreneurial actions are at the center for entrepreneurship. Now, these actions also increase, in a way, entrepreneurial competency. So, whatever the competencies, whether they can take the risk, whether they can think innovatively, whether they can develop their product and services innovatively, whether they can convince the community to take their products, all these competencies is also it's almost like a learning by doing. So and though when they are into that action, that also improve their thinking pattern. It increase their confidence, their creativity, all these things. Now the question is, what we do at the Center for Social Entrepreneurship, Tata Institute of Social sciences, because you know, when we are talking in a theoretically, all the frameworks are fine, but on the ground, how do we design that learning environment? That is very much important. Now, in our course, what we do to take the students from a the first thing we do, grassroots immersion. Now, what is grassroots for us? So it could be rural immersion, it could be urban pockets, slum pockets immersion. So we do lot of trial and error, because our course is social entrepreneurship, so social is very strong in it, and that's why we try to take them to the say, for example, I can give you one example of my course. Say I am teaching them the microeconomics, which is very very crude technical course, right? So for their immersion, I tell them that in your close vicinity, you take up small businesses and you go to talk to the people of these small business owners, and please look at that how they manage their production. You try to figure out whether whatever the production theory, cost theory, market, consumer behavior you are studying, are they happening on the ground? If not, how do you challenge the theory? So it's not that only I'm giving them the theoretical inputs, but also I'm connecting to them with a bigger laboratory of the microeconomics, where they can find how the things are working, whether how much theory is working, and how much is changing in the context to context. So, so grassroots immersion, it doesn't mean that 30 days sending them the field. We have to do that. That is also there. But also when I'm teaching them the course, we are trying to connect it with the immersion. So, for example, my colleague is teaching them the research methodology, okay, philosophy of science, okay. When we are teaching them the ontological position, ontology, so we also ask them, find out some problem in this campus only, and then you come back and tell us that what is your ontological position if you want to take up this kind of research. So what I'm saying, that we need to create a learning we can also think better understanding of all these theories. So need to they need to, and there are also rural immersions is part of our course, where they need to stay, experience the everyday life of the community, socio-economic political dimensions, and find out that who will help them to enter the context, so they find out their own gatekeepers also. And then when they are into the
I think today today she's having some issue. I will just tell her to join through her mobile.
So we also talk about the methods of immersion, that participant and non-participant observation we tell them to do. They need to do the stakeholder mapping, whatever the entrepreneurial idea do they have, they need to do that. And they also do a lot of in-depth interviews, informal interaction. So all these are also help them to understand the subject, understand their entrepreneur. They also test their own idea, how much whatever they think in the classroom, are they, these are they can apply in the, when they are on the ground. So those are the very crucial thing to create the learning environment. If we are not able to create the learning environment, we cannot just expect that my students will be very good creator of the venture, right? So that one aspect of this. Apart from that, when we tell them that do the stakeholder mapping, so it is not only that the not only that their their product and all this, we also try to tell them that your stakeholders are customers, institutions, suppliers, competitors, partners. So small guidelines you should take, give them, and then, oh my god, yeah. So you should give a broader guideline, but they will, uh, tell them to creatively you think, you find out your own stakeholders. That is very important from the very early stage of the entrepreneurial journey of the students. Apart from that, another teaching tool which we, or I would say that research tool, which is very handy for the students when you are bringing the entrepreneurial thought, that is the oral history method and the informal interaction. To know the any context, and this method is very handy. That is the oral history and the informal interaction. So we prefer our students should go to the context and talk to the any context, people from the different ages, so that 15, 20, 30 years of the history of that particular space or the community or the customers, they should know. And if you interest and this history also sometimes give them the idea that which product they will be saleable, which is not feasible for that ground. And before capturing the same, a small guideline needs to be prepared by the teachers. Because some community you can see that they are little reserved, they might not share. So in such situation, how they will handle the situation, that kind of guidelines, I think experienced researchers or the teachers, they should help the students. Informal interactions with the groups of people at the context also help to immerse in the context. Because when you are in a you are outsider and entering into a particular context to understand some health issues or education issues or any technological solution issues, you also need to know that how people are thinking about your solution, how they perceive. So that is also very much important. And later on, if they are getting the key stakeholders support, they should take the in-depth interviews of all those, because those are the preparation for your entrepreneurial action. So purposes of in-depth interview is that to understand the behavior of the people, to understand the context through their perspectives, to understand the potential support in the context, and to understand the potential risk in the context. And if they assess the potential risk, they can manage the risk in a better way. So that is the first part of the preparation. And now when they know that where I have to go, which area I have to work on my venture, whether I want to do it in agriculture or in education or in any product development, then the next step of the immersion is the which I say the first step. We call it problem mapping. So what they have to do now, they know the context, they know the people, they know the history of that context. So now they have to work upon the problem. What is the problem? What I am going to solve? So what is the issue? What happens then? Who are affected? Who else are area associated? So this context of the problem, where, who, how, these are all very much important thing, and which in house process in TISS it is called the problem mapping. So suppose some students is saying that, ma'am, there is a problem of poverty. Then we I think help them to think that which dimensions of poverty actually affect him. Okay, because students' interest should be there. It's a lifelong journey. It's not a project. So then we also help them that understand that the complexness of the problem. So how much do you know about that problem? How severity, where is the severity, how do you unfold that? So there is then they start to, suppose somebody says that, no ma'am, it's not the poverty, is not the education poverty, but also, it's maybe nutritional poverty, and that's why education is not happening. So then we also ask them that if it is a nutritional problem, where it is that there is no supply of the nutritional food, or is that the people are not capable to buy those foods? Where is the problem? And so we almost 3 months they are in the field here, which we call the pilot testing. So they do lot of problem mapping. They talk to the stakeholders. They try to figure out that where is the problem. So for whom this is a problem? What are the variables affect them? Sometimes you might, from the outsider, you are thinking that this is the problem, but the context, people at the context, they don't feel that it is a problem. So now the question is, uh, if it is a truly a problem, we should not work. We have to talk to the people more, so that we help them to understand that the severity of the problem. So how do we propose to connect with them, to work for and with them? So that is very much important. And who are the secondary stakeholders, maybe not directly connected to with my entrepreneurial thoughts and the action, but they might influence. So how do we place them in the whole idea? So these are all about the pilot. And the second step, which is the last step for us, is that when I am done with my problem map for the primary stakeholder, then we also do uh, try to figure out that where the student can enter into that problem, whole problem map, how they are figure out where is the case for venture, which problem they can start with, so that they can, so they need to look at the opportunity in the problem, and how these problem actually maybe the small portion of the problem also, uh, they can figure out that that could be my entry point for my venture. So what is the case for your venture? Okay, nutritional problem is fine. Maybe it is a problem of capability. Maybe it is a problem of lack of resources. But how you enter into the space? What is, so now we try to create a creative thinking about what is your skill, what is you can do, who are your partner, potential partner, which are the organization you think that you can have the partnership, and that is the way you can enter. So that is the case for venture. It's almost like we are helping them to assessing their own agency, how much problem you can handle, and what kind of solution you are thinking. So that's the way. When they are ready with their case for venture, then they go for the second pilot to start in a very small level, and they to test their idea and their action, entrepreneurial action, also testing that whether a venture can be generated from that case for venture or not. They might fail. They might fail. Then they, that will also learning point. Then they can again start their problem map from a different way. Okay, so that's the way we are creating a learning space where students, by we are facilitator, but they are creating uh, in them the agency. They have hands-on experiences through the master's course. They know, and also in the way when they are doing the creativity, they can also know the skills, management skills, social skills, and other analytical skills as a part of the classroom teaching. Those are the things I'm not talking focusing on that. I am basically focusing on that along with our pedagogy. How do we create a creative thinking, and especially the entrepreneurial thinking, because entrepreneurship is not a linear path, it is always a non-linear path. Sometimes you are at the peak and the next day you feel that no, I'm nowhere, right? So are they ready, are their thought process is ready to accept that non-linear path? Are they okay? Because any problem, any solution, any product, you have to take it in a sustainable way. So there we found that the person who are who at the end of the day, when I see that how many of my alum is continuously doing the venture for last 5 years or last 10 years, I have seen there is a pattern. The persons who take little off and then go back to their desk and think, and they told us that, ma'am, we start again from zero. When we see that success is coming, that means here saturation is also coming. So we start to think that what could be the next. And that's the way. And there are several cases where you can see that the entrepreneur is a serial entrepreneur. They do something, they create something, then they sometimes they are creative people, they lost the everyday's mundane work, then they give it to the next level team, and then they start to build another enterprise. So those are a lot of cases which we are experiencing. And I think that it is very interesting for a teacher also, because when you are creating this learning space, you also need to you also get a chance to create something which is not nobody taught us, right? When you are also using your intuition, you are also do a lot of experiment, and then you see that which works for whom and which works doesn't work for others. So there are certain things you can see that we also sometimes we also fail. That it's not that always success is at our doorstep. No. So it is also, lot of failures also teach us that how do we create that space in a different way so that that will work. Okay, so I feel that it is a continuous process, and nobody in this space can say that I can give you the successful solution. Whatever the successful solution for one person, it might not be successful for others, because context is changing, time is changing, And when context is changing and time is changing, within the same context, I have seen that as time progresses, the people's mindset is also changing. So the solution, the problem our student found, that is no more a problem. So those are the things we have to um, you know remember when we are creating any learning space. So I end here, and I think you all have some questions. Um,
Yeah, participants, kindly post your questions on the chat box or question answer box. Pam is here to answer the questions. Please post your questions.
there are two hands raised. Sanjita ma'am,
Yeah,
there
yeah.
is two attendees raised hand. Pushpa and Anuj.
Pushpa.
Yeah.
Okay, Maksud, can we allow Pushpa to ask question if you can permit her audio or video facility?
Ma'am, yes, audio we can give the audio facility, but not
Yeah,
the video one.
Pushpa, can we, please give to Pushpa.
Yes, Pushpa, you can.
Pushpa, you can ask the question now. Pushpa, are you there? Pushpa, are you there? Okay, anyway, we have one question from Dr. Roshan Arya, that is entrepreneurship a subject of management studies one? Professor Guha, are you there? Yeah, Professor Guha, can you hear us? You are muted, I think. Your voice is not clear. We can't hear you, Professor Guha.
Yes,
Yeah,
I can hear you. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, Pushpa,
yeah.
please unmute.
Pushpa, are you going to ask your question?
Oh, no, ma'am, no, no, no. It was just by
Yeah,
mistake.
yeah, Pushpa.
Sorry, ma'am. It was just by mistake. I thought that nothing, ma'am. No, I
Your
don't have a
voice,
question.
no, your voice is not clear, Pushpa.
No,
Can you,
I'll just write.
you
No,
just
I don't
write
have a
your,
question.
no, you write your question on the chat box, please. We can't hear you. Dr. Roshan Arya has posted her question. Is entrepreneurship is a subject of management studies?
I would say that entrepreneurship itself a discipline now. Management people can study. Social science, any disciplines students can study, because there are several good research work also done by sociologists and anthropologists. And management people, yes, they do lot of study, they do, and I can tell you there are several very big management professors also. Later on they changed their path towards entrepreneurship because it is innovative and creative.
And also,
So
I have
so
seen, Dr. Professor Gua, that many universities have launched this particular syllabus, this particular subject in most of the departments, and this is
yes.
compulsory subject to be taken for everyone by everyone. So I have seen IP University and Delhi University have also incorporated this particular subject into all the streams. So
Yes.
this has become entirely very important subject to for the teachers to know that how to disseminate this information among students.
And look at the Indian economy now, the present scenario. There is no job. It's a long time. It is a 2 decades problem of jobless growth, and also it's our government is only focusing on self-employment. So why, in which point a discipline gets lot of attraction, that's also we need to study. Okay. So now, when there is no big industries or let's say no plan for the from the public sector, so it's a self-employment, and we have 93% informal sector. So you have to offer something, right? And that's why you can see that stand up India, startup India, so many things, and also hotel incubation center schemes and all these. So these are all reason why entrepreneurship after 70 years of independence is getting so much importance in India. It was not the so easy path in 15 years back when we started social entrepreneurship in TISS. I can remember as a center chair, I used to spend at least every day 4 to 5 hours to explain what it is all about. Whoever are coming to the center, any visitor, any any from any corner of India or outside, I used to explain what is social entrepreneurship at least 4 to 5 hours every day, because it was unknown. Now these days, anywhere I go, I don't need to explain, right? So when I see that any question you are raising, why it is important, that is that history is, you need to know the economic history. Why entrepreneurship today? Because entrepreneurship, it's uttered by long time back. The John Baptist Say, a macroeconomist, who defined what is entrepreneurship, and later on it got again attracted by in the time of Schumpeter, okay, creative destruction. And later on you can see that a lot of people from Harvard, like Porter and all this, Kotler and all, Kuratko, they then it was starting getting a lot of attention, that when people are leaving their permanent job and starting creative kind of entrepreneurial venture. And now in India, you may see that our all economic slowdown is also, it's almost like opportunity in problem identification. The problem is so big that it could be a uh, kind of way out. Everybody is trying to find out some solution. And you may know that last 6 7 years, there is a NUSSD. Every college has, earlier that was National Social Service, NSS. That translated into NUSSD, and they are also offering a lot of courses on entrepreneurship. And we wrote so many entrepreneurship module for whole Indian college students who can opt for one course under NUSSD. So that is happening. Yeah,
Professor,
there is
there is one
some.
question more from B. Lakshmi Nair. She is
Huh.
asking, teachers play an influential role in nurturing entrepreneur thoughts among students. So,
Hmm.
what possible challenge a teacher can face in his or her journey?
Possible challenge,
Yes.
lot. Because sometimes, it's not that students' fault, but also they have a lot of social pressures. I can you explain one example. We nurture two entrepreneurs, and he was from some village of Bihar. And then when he went back for his pilot study, that he wants to apply that education model with the very remote villages, then all the villagers, they came to his parents to say that, why are you wasting money to send him in Bombay if he do all these nonsense things at the village? We think that he is not passing his exams, and that's why college send him to the village and he is doing something unnecessary things. So it is not that the model, it is not that the financial crunch, it is not that the, so problems kahan se aayega, we also don't know. And then he came and he was totally disturbed because his venture was doing very well. And then he said that, ma'am, I have to take up a job. I have to prove that I can be a government officer in front of them. And side by side, I can do. So I said that then the growth will not happen, no, Baba. Then he said that I can't take so much social pressure because my parents are illiterate and they are the farmers and they all are influenced by all the society and they can't leave them. It is very difficult. So then he wrote an exam in Nabard and he became assistant manager. And he said, and he, you know what kind of pressure, familial pressure. अच्छा आपने job ले लिया, proof खत्म नहीं होता है. You have to get married because दुनिया को दिखाना है कि my son is settled. And now he is doing that and side by side it is very difficult. So he is doing it through his team members and all this. So now as a teacher, are you in a position to suggest anything because you are not in that context? You don't know what kind of familial pressure, social pressure that person is going through. So this is one. Second thing is that sometimes, you know, it is very difficult when you see that your other classmates, means other courses, friends from other courses, they are taking the placement and they are getting the package, whether it is 10 lakhs, 15 lakhs, whatever the package. How do you motivate that student to pursue his own passion? Because their age is also not 5. So how do they leave all these things? Motivate, you have to give them something which is alternative to all these package and all these things. So it's better. Sometimes we send them for the international forum where they, you know, when they are presenting, maybe they are appreciated. Those are the things work. So you have to, as a teacher, you have to find out the way. How do I help? So that that person uh, can retain his tempo. That's very important. Some of the days are very bad days, some of the days are very good days. Some investor, you know, last 2 months they are saying, yeah, we are investing. And the moment they are about to sign, just 10 hours back, they say that no, we are changing our mind and we're backed out from the whole investment thing. Now, what are you going to say? In 1 minute, you cannot arrange the investment for that boy. Okay. So sometimes, you know, some are very angry and they will come to you and they will say that आपको क्या जाता है? You don't understand anything. ये सब भी आपको सुनना पड़ेगा. इसमें you have to also, I think that little bit thinking from their perspective and whatever they are reacting, maybe you need to lend your ears. You might not help in true sense, but if you lend your ears, they can feel that somebody is there. At least psychological aspect of our students, we can mental thing we can take care of. Okay, that is not the end. You have to convince them that is not the end. There are also a light, you know, after the tunnel. So you have to be a good mentor, good facilitator. It's not a very easy journey, and every day you are not expecting, but some challenges at your doorstep. So be prepared with you know.
Very grounded answer you have given and very grounded solution you have given, Professor Gua, because this is what actually happening. with the teachers and with the students.
Because nobody asks teachers' mental health condition.
Yes, yes, yes.
You have
One
to
more
take care of
question,
that.
Professor Guha from
Yeah.
Dr. Mandal, that if we want to motivate people in the village to become entrepreneurs, what would be
Mm.
the different way of motivating them?
Yeah. First of all, 1 or 2 months you have to, again I told you, the best solution is the lend your ears. You provoke them what they want to do. You try to understand. Don't give them the solution at all. Are they ready for the entrepreneurship? You can give them a lot of stories. You can take them for the exposure visit also. Some rural innovators के पास लेके जा सकते हैं. That is very important, you know. Without saying anything, you can create that motivation. You take them to the, जैसे मान लो काली है, tomorrow I will take my students to the what's take any of the underdevelopment problem, you can view there. Hmm. Uh, Crime is very high rate. Crime is really very high rate there. I didn't say anything to my students where we are going to take them. I just take them there, and there are also little bit, society coordinators. They are also young boys. So I told them that you all will present what you are doing for the society, and then you take them three students. You to take to tour type kar lo, and let them talk to their the people, slum dwellers, and then come back. So I am expecting that it could be very eye-opening kind of experience for them, and other than teaching, they will get a lot of points, and I know they will come to me and other professors to discuss, because they will be very disturbed. I know that, and then they start to talk. Can we work on that? So if you want to teach any of the context, take them to some kind of exposure visit, some kind of immersion is we also want. And teacher, we should go for immersion much before the students, which maximum professors, I'm sorry to say, I belong to that community, but maximum professors, they don't go. If you connect with the society very well, your students will follow that. Hmm. And there you don't need to give extra efforts to motivate them. They will be motivated.
You have to be role model for that. Whatever you want to be expected from students, then you have to do first of all, and then only they will follow. That is
We did grassroots immersion. We did all. We started some venture with along with the rural people. We're very much engaged with that, and that gives us a lot of experience to teach in the class.
okay. Professor Gua, one last question because we are running short of time and our next respected speaker is already there. So
Okay.
this question is from Professor Rahul Ranaware, that will you explain Whitson College model to become
Babson. Babson.
but Whitson,
Babson.
okay.
Babson. You can
Babson.
also visit in the website.
Okay,
Babson College is in near Boston,
okay,
and it's a old entrepreneurship college. It's not a model. It's
okay,
a their entrepreneurship is practicing. So there are several good entrepreneurs, multimillionaires are also coming out of Babson College. लाइक इनोवेशन के लिए हम जैसे स्टैनफोर्ड की बात करते हैं,
mhm,
स्टैनफोर्ड एमआईटी की बात करते हैं, एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप के लिए हमने बैक्सन कॉलेज की बात करते हैं.
okay, okay. So we can go to the website and we can look there
Yeah, you can
what
check
kind of
what they
policies
do.
and models they are
There are a
following.
lot of newsletters, you can read all those.
Okay, okay. Thank you, Professor Gua, for your session. But there was a lot of
I'm extremely
technical
sorry,
issues
I
today.
didn't know how it happened.
Yeah, no issue. But in the last,
The
you have
tech glitches.
taken your whole, like you have summarized your whole presentation. So it was an excellent thing. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you. Now, dear participants, we are starting with our second session of the day. We are very delighted and pleased to have with us today respected Professor R. Natarajan, former chairman AICTE and former director IIT Madras, who is speaking today on creating new age entrepreneurs, role of teachers. We welcome you, sir. Namaskar, sir.
Namaskar.
Professor N. Natarajan obtained his Bachelor of Engineering degree from the University of Visvesvaraya College of Engineering, Bangalore, Master of Engineering degree from the Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, and Doctor of Philosophy degree from the University of Waterloo, Canada. Professor R. Natarajan served as the Director of Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, and as a chairman of the All India Council of Technical Education, a statutory body of Government of India. Professor Natarajan was a vice president of the Indian National Academy of Engineering and the chairman of the Research Council of the Central Fuel Research Institute, Dhanbad, during 1995 to 2005. He was a member of the India-China Eminent Persons Group during 2002 to 2004. He was till recently the chairman of the board for the IT Education Standards of Karnataka and the co-chairman of the Engineering Education Forum of the Indian National Academy of Engineering. Professor Natarajan is a fellow of many national academies as well. He has been conferred honorary doctorate degree by the University of South Australia, Jawaharlal Nehru Technological University, Kanpur University, then Purvanchal University and NIT Agartala. He has been a member of the editorial boards of many reputed journals, including Fuel London, Journal of Engineering Education, Transformation Engineering Education, Indian Journal of Technical Education, and Staff and Educational Development International. So we are very happy and we are very honored to have you today with us. And we are very thankful that you have kindly accepted to deliver your interactive talk today on the most important topic, creating new age entrepreneurs, role of teachers. We have with us Professor, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor P.B. Sharma, sir. Good afternoon, sir. Can we have few words from you, sir?
Just a few words. The honor of our most distinguished speaker this afternoon, Professor R. Natarajan. Professor Natarajan, a very warm welcome on behalf of the entire Amity University Haryana family. We are truly delighted, rather obliged for sparing your highly valuable time with us. I know people of your distinction are very rare in India who have devoted to the cause of technical education with head, heart, and soul and led our nation to great distinction. We are truly delighted to have you, and we look towards you for guiding us today when we are looking at a new India where mass entrepreneurship is to be created on the strength of our young India, which is highly innovative, undoubtedly deeply committed to create a better tomorrow for itself. But they need to be mentored and guided while they are in the university by their teachers who have to now to perform a role beyond classroom teaching and research and laboratory exercises. We need to now train our teachers in a manner that teachers themselves become highly enterprising, and their enterprising spirit ultimately benefits and inspires the younger community of students. We wish to roll out startups in plenty from our university campuses, and we wish to engage our younger mind to think of entrepreneurship as a great career option beyond aspiring for great jobs around the world. It's very important for a voluminous country like India, which has a population almost matching with China, to create millions and millions of entrepreneurs so that they create further several jobs actually for our people. After all, we are looking at 666 young people below the age of 25 in this country. And we cannot expect actually to flourish and cherish without actually mass entrepreneurship of the kind that is to be created. Luckily, environment is positive, and the translation of idea into a startup is far more easier today than perhaps it was when I and you were students. And therefore, we look towards you for guidance in this 5-day capacity building program and training our teachers to understand their role in fostering entrepreneurship and startups in plenty from the university and college campuses. A very warm welcome to you, Professor R. Natarajan, on my personal behalf, on behalf of my Honorable Chancellor and the founding fathers of Amity University. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in the company of one of the most distinguished academician who has led our institutions, IIT Madras as well as AICT by example. And we look towards you to get the best advantage of the presence of Dr. Natarajan in this technical session. Dr. Natarajan, over to you. We welcome you to our university. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Professor P.B. Sharma. It is my privilege that you found some time to listen to my talk. Can we have my presentation? I'll try to share it. Otherwise, I have also sent you, Sanjana, the presentation. You can also control it.
Sanjana, if you have, keep it ready for sharing. Dr. Sanjana Vij.
Yes, sir. I haven't received any presentation, sir.
No, you please look into your email.
Yeah, I've just checked, sir. I haven't received an email from your side.
What I suggest, Dr. Natarajan, on the screen, you will see a green icon at the bottom header, bottom footer, and there it is written share screen. So if you press that share screen on your toolbar at the footer, can you see the green share screen icon?
Not yet, 1 second.
Open your PPT on the screen.
Yeah, here's share the
Share
screen.
screen. Just if you have, then your screen will be visible. Once your screen is visible, then you can click. Yeah, I can see your screen now. Yeah,
Yes.
there you are.
You can see the screen?
Yes,
Excellent.
go to slideshow, and go from the beginning. I think you will be there. Go to slideshow, just click the slideshow icon, yes, on the top header, yeah. Slideshow, onto the left. There you are, slideshow. Can you see? After animation, it's written slideshow.
Yeah.
Yes, click it. And then there you are. Click it twice if you can. Click the slideshow twice, yeah. Slideshow.
Yeah.
Little bit, click it to slideshow here. Go to slideshow, yeah.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, but not yet slideshow. Click it on the slideshow, yes. Move your cursor a little bit to the left, yes.
Yeah.
There you are. Click it twice. Click it twice.
So you have to click from beginning, sir. First option.
Yes. And then go to the left, extreme left. Go to the extreme left. It's written from beginning. Go to the extreme left of the toolbar on the top. Extreme left. Extreme left. You see an icon from beginning, like a cup. Little down. Come down.
Yeah.
Come down. There you are. You made it. Thank
Okay.
you so much, sir.
Right. What I have tried to do, Professor Sharma,
Sir.
is to give broad perspectives about the role of entrepreneurship,
Yes.
where it fits into a student's education, and also what role teachers of current era as well as the future teachers, they have to play in promoting entrepreneurship.
Right.
It is not a simple topic. What I have tried to do is to look at several different aspects, and then I have tried to connect them. Okay, the title of the topic, as you pointed out, was the role of teachers in promoting new age entrepreneurship in students. Okay, I will go through the contents of presentation in some detail so that you know what kind of sequence of topics that I am going to cover. First of all, I'm going to be looking at the future of work, because the future of work has undergone rapid transformations. It is continuously transforming even today. Entrepreneurship is one possible career for a young person who has completed a degree in higher education. So you should know, essentially, we are preparing them for work, either for an organized sector or self-employment, which is entrepreneurship. So getting ready for the future of work, then automation, which has made a considerable difference to the nature of work, some questions I pose and provide some answers. Then it logically leads on to entrepreneurship. And one of the fundamental questions that has been asked, and to a reasonable degree of satisfaction, the answers have been provided. Can entrepreneurship be taught and learned? Similarly, innovation. Can innovation be taught and learned? We'll take a look at that. Many universities now have incubator programs, and the central government, the Ministry of Education, has also been promoting it. They have been ranking the incubator programs, giving awards and so on, so that it promotes, it incentivizes universities to have entrepreneurship programs. At the postgraduate level, I'll speak about it a little bit, a couple of sentences, a little later on, because IIT Madras, we started an MS, Master of Science, a research program, a practical program on entrepreneurship many, many years ago, 30 years ago. And there is a management institute in Bangalore. It's promoted by the Xavier group of institutions, XIME. It is institution of management and entrepreneurship. Therefore, it shows that they are different, they are connected with each other. There is an overlap of topics between them, but they are in fact two different ways for students, graduates to find employment. So there is another question, what are the differences between startups and small businesses, which is the small version of a regular business establishment? Next question I ask is, are innovation and entrepreneurship correlated? To a large extent, yes. Therefore, I look at innovation and innovation management, the nature of innovation and innovation management, and there's a host of barriers to innovation in India. Even though we have organized institutions like the National Innovation Foundation and all the IIMs have programs on innovation and so on, there are several barriers. Very quickly, I will look at three types of barriers. Now I come to the role of teachers and teaching. The teachers have many and different roles, and there are many intangible roles that are difficult to locate and difficult to inculcate in students. And the 21st century teachers, looking at what Professor Sharma has pointed out as new age teachers and students. And there are many new roles of faculty members. We'll take a look at a couple of them. And in accreditation, as you all know, and in general in higher education, outcomes-based teaching and learning has become the norm now. The accreditation agency, NBA, has a lot of questions, a lot of hints for promoting outcomes-based teaching and learning. What does that mean? Then finally, I look at some institutional issues which have to be sorted out if you want to succeed in any organized program. I look at research, I look at some current issues in higher education, and then ultimately all of us are interested in our institutions to become beacons of quality and beacons of excellence, so-called world-class institutions. And I'll take a look at what the journey to excellence and quality looks like. Okay, the future of work. McKinsey's, the Global Institute, has done a lot of studies on what the future of work is going to look like. One of the main disruptors of the future of work, in the future of work, is artificial intelligence. So it's pointed out it is poised to disrupt the workplace. And what will the company of the future look like? And how will people keep up? What are the major changes in the nature of work? Digital communications have made remote work commonplace. During the pandemic over the past couple of years, this has enabled lots of companies to continue their work, continue their business, lots of workers to continue to work. Of course, education also. Large number of students at school level and at college level have continued to get educated. The gig economy is growing. Gig economy is the labor market characterized by the prevalence of short-term contracts or freelance work as opposed to permanent jobs. They come and they go. And advances in AI and robotics would upend the conventional workplace. It's going to look very different. Already it is. In the US, they have pointed out that at least 30% of the activities associated with the majority of occupation, at least 30%, one-third, including knowledge tasks, could be automated. Previously, the knowledge tasks were thought to be immune to the automation of jobs. Now, one simple example of a job that cannot be automated is a haircut for men. it cannot be automated. So apart from that, some freaky examples, almost everything else, including knowledge tasks, they say can be automated. Therefore, the demand on the workers and the students is lifelong learning must become the norm. We continuously learn, adapting to the changed circumstances. And in fact, again, accreditation, they point out that lifelong learning, your ability to give the students the characteristic of lifelong learning is very important. Now, understanding what is temporary and what is transformative. Organizations must evaluate three key areas, it is said, to not only emerge from the COVID-19 crisis, but thrive in the post-pandemic world. Hopefully, we are living in a post-pandemic world. We are still not sure whether we have conquered COVID. Shanghai, there have been cases and cases and so on. In Bangalore also, we are continuing to have our masks. We're continuing to have the precautions that we have been taking because of the COVID crisis. So three different areas: temporary changes in response to crisis, changing the working hours, and things like that, and permanent changes to the day-to-day work, where you organize programs, you make changes part of your daily routine. And then there are new types of work. A good example is tele-everything. Adoption of remote processes. You have telemedicine, virtual schooling, and learning, remote laboratories, and so on. And also a strong push for strong alignment among a company's purpose. Now it is recognized that there are three major purposes of a company or a business: ESG issues, environmental, social, and governance issues. These are very important, and all of them make an impact on the type of work and the type of workers that we produce. I'll look at a couple of questions. Automation and the new world of work. What impact will automation have on work? What are possible scenarios for employment growth? So entrepreneurship, by and large, is one way of earning a livelihood. And fortunately, the number of startups and small businesses involving entrepreneurs has been increasing, particularly in India. But otherwise, it is impossible to expect, it's not possible to expect the government and the private business to provide employment for all graduates. And the number of students is increasing and the number of graduates is increasing. We are trying to enhance our gross enrollment ratio to 50% according to the National Education Policy. It is not going to happen in 15 years that they have in mind. Next, let us take a look at the basic issues in entrepreneurship. One of the questions is, can entrepreneurship be taught and learned? The previous speaker was talking about how to train entrepreneurs in the university environment, in the high school environment, and so on. So the question is, can it be taught and learned by the students? And of course, the teaching has to be done by the teachers. Now, it is said that people can learn how to become entrepreneurs, but then they must have some preparation. They must have an inborn ability to learn things faster than others. That means they have to be more effective in learning than the normal person who goes for regular employment. Now, entrepreneurship and leadership are closely linked, because every entrepreneur must also have leadership skills because he's leading his organization. According to Peter Drucker, the famous management guru, entrepreneurship is not magic. It is not mysterious. It has nothing to do with genes. It is a discipline like any other systematic part of work. And like any discipline, it can be learned. So according to him, entrepreneurship can be learned. And I remember 30 years ago, we wanted to start a program on entrepreneurship. So the debate was whether it should be started as an MTech program after he has graduated or something else. So it was found that pure teaching of entrepreneurship will not do. You have an MS program, which includes a lot of research, a lot of working on one's own, and it's not all completely coursework. So I understand it is still doing well. Also, although if you ask how many entrepreneurs it has created, that is a small number. But how many entrepreneurs has it helped? It is a fairly large number. Some skills like leadership, communication skills, and so on should be mastered to be an entrepreneur. So it is not an easy set of preparation to make. It is quite difficult. There are many conflicts on whether entrepreneurship can be learned or taught. According to some people, it can be conducted at higher education institutions also. If you look at the terminology used for higher education in the education ministry, it is higher education and skill development. So we are merging, we are making both of them coming together, and that is an extremely positive step. And some people believe that it is learning by doing, and therefore one must actually put his hands into the toolkit. There are many university incubator programs. The AICTE has awards for them. The Atal system, both to promote entrepreneurship and also to reward good programs. So encouraging student entrepreneurship is one of the focus areas of many university centers for entrepreneurship and innovation. Almost all universities, and I'm sure Amity also has it, it is the Center for Entrepreneurship Innovation and to provide the students the ability to self-employ. There are many takeaways here, many ways of doing this I have indicated. And one important thing that you need is mentorship, not only by the faculty members who do not normally have experience of promoting their own business, but also people who have actually succeeded in the field. I also want you to remember that the most successful entrepreneurs in the world, Bill Gates and the other people, the Virgin Atlantic person and so on, they were college dropouts. Does that mean you have to drop out of a college or a good college in order to become a successful entrepreneur? What it means is that in the university, in the higher education institution, they did not get the knowledge and skills necessary to become a successful entrepreneur. That is the lesson. Now, two words which are used almost synonymously, startups and small businesses. What is the major difference? What are the major differences? I've looked at a few of them. Startups want to grow with the goal of disrupting the market. And when they reach to high levels, they reach to the highest levels. And you know about the unicorns, and India has a few of these unicorns. Small businesses are smaller versions of conventional businesses, and therefore their scaling is much less. So the difference I have indicated there, the two are quite different. Now, there are many, many reasons why most entrepreneurs fail. So it is said that only about 10%, and that is a high value, of entrepreneurship efforts succeed. 90% of them do not succeed. So what are the major reasons most entrepreneurs fail? Lack of a business model, lack of market research. So what it means is that you need to put in a lot of hard work to have to put together a team of people who have all the skills necessary to overcome these difficulties. Legal challenges also. Are innovation and entrepreneurship correlated? Definitely yes. Innovation will lead to entrepreneurship, or entrepreneurship will require innovation. So Schumpeter, I think the previous speaker spoke about him, his view, 1934, view of the entrepreneur as an innovator. He said he has to be an innovator. Therefore, we take a look at innovation, and managing innovation is an extremely important component of succeeding in innovation application. So let's take a look at innovation management. This is from one study. There are many ingredients for innovation in a community, for instance. What are the ingredients for innovation? First of all, you must have a dynamic industry, world-class infrastructure, and a culture of entrepreneurship. We talk about culture of scholarship, similarly culture of entrepreneurship. On one side, you have the industry part. On the other side, you have the community, which makes use of the products of innovation, communities which require investment, which requires leaders across sectors and so on. And in between the two, we have our community, universities, which provide talented and educated people, knowledge and ideas, creativity, daring, vision of benefits to self. Therefore, these three parts coming together are the critical ingredients for innovation and innovation management. This is an interesting slide. In many cases, in terms of innovation, in terms of successful innovation, and there are different examples of how this comes to happen. It is not always serendipity, but sometimes and many times it is. So here is an example of successful failure. All of us, even today, we use the Post-it note, the yellow, which is a self-attaching removable bookmark. How was it created? So 3M, which is the creator of this product, but many other people have taken the license and they are producing their own. They have a famous chemist there, Spence Silver. He wanted to create a strong adhesive. But what he managed to do was to create a weak adhesive. So he was very disappointed, and was discussing with one of his friends who was a churchgoer, and he had difficulty in using a bookmark which would stay there in his church Bible hymnal. Then it says that his mind wandered during the dull sermon. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. He had an impact, flashes of insight. He had heard that Spence Silver had produced a weak adhesive, and he was very disappointed. And here he had a need to keep a bookmark which would stay there and not come out, but then it would not tear the page also. So together, they created a product for 3M, one of the best-selling products for 3M, which we also use. I'm sure all of you use it as a means of communication, as a means of bookmark and things like that. That's an example of a successful failure. There are many statements by McKinsey studies. One such statement is that innovation per se is not a good thing. The only universally good thing is performance. Using the innovation to make the institution or the business perform better. And newness, innovation is newness, comes from three sources. Key success factors for innovation for an organization, a business, I've indicated at the top. And three lessons come out of this study. Innovation is the business of business. No business will thrive and succeed unless it innovates, and innovates continuously. Innovation is the driving force for survival. Innovation requires a cooperative mode of management. So it can be created, but you have to work hard for doing that. There are many factors inhibiting innovation, particularly in India. The question is asked, we are very good in IT services. Have we created any IT products? Actually, we have not. Therefore, there's a reason for that, starting from the way we educate our students and things like that. Now, there are many motivational factors for promoting innovation. One of them is the technology denial regimes. Europe, for example, European Union, the US, all of them have these technology denial regimes, particularly space, defense, and so on, strategic sectors. Therefore, Atmanirbhar Bharat, we have to do them ourselves. Nobody will help us to create them. So there are many technology denial regimes. And dual use equipment, the COCOM, which existed till now, again, they have a multilateral export control regime, and therefore we have to create them ourselves. We have no other go. That is the motivation for innovation. Again, therefore, there are many ways of getting this done, and one of them is technology denial regime. McKinsey wisdom, looking at all the innovations which have taken place and what impact they have had on businesses. McKinsey attaches more importance to performance than innovation, as I pointed out earlier. Who cares, they ask, if a company is great at innovation, if it doesn't perform? You have to survive, you have to perform, you have to make profits. It talks about, it is a very important concept, earning the right to grow. If you want to grow, then you must have some prerequisites. You must have achieved some things. If, imagine, if a company is making losses, and if you expand the nature of the company, the volumes of the company, the profits will, I mean, there are no profits. The losses will continue to grow. Therefore, the precondition is you have to be great at innovation, and you must earn the right to grow by making profits. Here is a collection of items on educational requirements of the knowledge economy. The past requirement, I'll only look at one aspect here, skills, and at the moment, future requirement and the current requirements, knowledge combined with skills. There's a whole lot of these things. Now, this is a mathematical concept made into hardware. They're called Borromean rings. There are 3 rings of different colors here, and they are interlocked. They're interlocked in such a manner, it's not like the Olympic rings. If you cut this combination at any point, then all the 3 rings will come apart. So here the analogy is, it is the government, industry, and business. They have to be tightly wound together like a Borromean ring. And if you break any link, then the whole thing comes apart. There are several barriers to innovation. With special reference to our country, I'll look at 3 types of barriers. One is the country-specific barriers. The lack of innovation during over the past 75 years, when we did not have independence, we were not allowed to really become innovative. Lack of consistent and sustained policy support. That barrier has been removed now. We have several positive policies. Tradition of rote learning in education, that also is being demolished. And too much reliance on routine jobs. One of my friends, when he gives a lecture about entrepreneurship and innovation, he says, when I came here, one of the first offices I saw was your training and placement office. He says, that is the enemy of entrepreneurship and innovation, because what you are trying to give to the students are jobs in the organized sector. So you should not train them for jobs in organized sector, but then make them self-employed so that they create jobs and they do not look for jobs. This is a common thing that politicians keep saying. The second one is education-specific barriers or rote learning. And also the second one, systems are aimed more at solving social equity problems than at nurturing merit. You look at the national education policy also, and you do not have any escape from this set of concepts. And no specific efforts to promote creativity and innovation. There's only a few institutions which have dedicated programs to promote creativity and innovation. Fortunately, in our country, there are many competitions, inter-institutional competitions. For example, the SAE, Baja automobile project and so on. They all, the students are excited about doing those things. Then, of course, the industry-specific barriers. If industry has a problem, it doesn't come to the institution to get solutions. They lack self-confidence in Indian academic and industry capabilities. And many people have talked about the lack of proper industry-institute interaction. I have one slide. I'll show it a little later on. Next, I come to the role of teachers and teaching. In general, I'll look at our roles, and then I'll try to connect it up with entrepreneurship education. Now, I want you to understand that we teachers have a whole set of responsibilities that normally people in industry do not have. They think that we have an easy job. So I try to list all the different responsibilities that we have. Teaching, of course, is our basic responsibility, and that is why we are called teachers. Now, if you look at the whole education sequence, it is teaching, of course, research now because of the necessity to become NIR of high rankers and global ranking and so on. But equally important, and it's a difficult task, is student assessment of students about what we have taught them and what they have learned. So it involves such mundane things as question paper setting, answer paper correcting. And one important aspect that people do not realize is convincing students that evaluation has been fair. In the IIT system, we had 1 week after the results have been announced for students to come to the professor's office and, air his complaints. Oh, I have done so-and-so. Well, how come I haven't got full marks for this? A very difficult task to convince the student. Then you have tutorials, settling doubts, and so on. Then there is many more of these mundane duties. I'm trying to list them so that you realize that we have a whole set of responsibilities and accountability, including consultancy, sponsored research, continuing education, and self-study. Each of us has to learn all the time in order to be ahead of the field, and book writing, which is one important thing. These are tangible roles, but then we have many intangible roles which are expected of us. I'm sure Professor Sharma will appreciate that because he has been a role model. Role models, shaping character, counseling, advice, professional as well as personal, provide inspiration to them, career planning. You're a coach, guide, facilitator, and mentor. Now, the 21st century teachers are quite different from those of the earlier century. These are the new age teachers. The whole notion of teacher as a disseminator of knowledge is turned on its head. In the old scenario, the teacher was the boss. In the new scenario, the teacher becomes the facilitator. And the cliche is that the teacher is no longer the sage on the stage, the person who has all wisdom, but he is the guide on the side. He facilitates, he works with the students, he mentors them, and so on. Teacher is becoming less central to the learning process. Let us realize that the students whom we teach, they know a lot more of digital technology than we do. Therefore, if we have to be ahead of them, we have to learn a lot more and be current. Now, there are many new roles. They'll be increasingly independent. No, this is a new concept. It is said that faculty members will be like film stars. A good faculty member who is able to attract thousands of students, he will have an agent who will connect him with different institutions who want the services of the faculty member. So he's a star. He's no longer associated with this. Is sometime coming. In another 20 years or so, this might happen. But, or even now, some of the best teachers might have a following of this type. So these are the new roles of faculty members. This is an important slide. When we teach, of course, the students learn. The question is, we are teaching. Are they learning? The focus is on learning rather than on teaching. It is said that when a faculty member feels very satisfied at the end of an hour of lecture and feels he has done a great job, it's not that he should be thinking about, I have taught, but he should be thinking about how the students learn. There are many ways of extracting that information. At the frequent intervals, you ask questions and find out what percentage of students have learned it right, and so on. Therefore, the point is that the teacher, you must be thinking all the time about learning, the learning by the students rather than the teaching that he has done. And now we are talking about outcomes-based teaching and learning. So again, it is that the principle that what matters ultimately is not what is taught, but what is learned. And the accreditation system also talks about OBTL or OBE, outcomes-based education. Salman Khan, I don't know how many of you are aware of this person in the US. Bill Gates, for example, was very impressed by the manner in which Salman Khan teaches several subjects. Of course, he has a team of people all the way from physics and chemistry and so on to commerce, business, and things like that. So he has asked some very fundamental questions, and he has tried to incorporate the answers to these questions in his methods of teaching. Go to the internet, the Google search, and look at what he has been able to do. He has done a fantastic job. So his questions were, how do people actually learn? Why do students forget so much of what they have supposedly learned as soon as the exam has been taken? Why do grown-ups sense such a disconnect between what they have studied in school or college and what they do in the real world? Isn't that our objective of teaching students, to make them survive and make them succeed in the real world? So he talks about self-paced learning and so on. Here are some 3 quotations which are quite provoking. What the learner does is more important than what the teacher does. That is something that we should keep at the back of our mind. And this is a cruel statement of the definition of a lecture. A lecture is an event where information passes from the notes of the lecturer into the notes of the student without passing through the brains of either. It is cruel, but a way of pointing out what needs to be done. And he quotes Benjamin Franklin, who says that, tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. Therefore, what is the fundamental principle? If you want to teach students, you have to involve them in entrepreneurship as much as regular subjects. A study made by this professor, she's no more unfortunately, a good friend of mine, she did a study in 2011 indicating 5 attributes of an ideal engineering professor: technical expert, practitioner, communicator, and so on. If you look at these 5 characteristics, you realize what you should aim to be. Now, I will make 2 statements. Teachers, we are educators. Education is our fundamental duty. We are also researchers, particularly in higher education. If you don't do research, but only do teaching, it is only one dimension that you have covered. There are 2 dimensions to it, equally important. Now, here I provide the anatomy of a research university. What does it mean? MIT University, it contains all these elements. What activities take place given in the central column? I put learning first, teaching next, and assessment, R&D and industrial consultancy, and so on. In order for these activities to take place, you need resources, human resources, physical resources, and financial resources. I have given examples. These are the inputs. Now, what is important are like outcome-based education is, what are the outputs? There are 2 different types, outputs and outcomes. I provide the difference here. On top, you have the tangible outcomes. Outcomes are tangible. The number of graduates that you produce, manpower, the number of papers, and so on. The intangible outcomes are even more important in determining the excellence of that institution. With the brand equity, the scholarship, the reputation of that institution, the national image and the pride it has, the excellence and quality it has, and so on. Therefore, these 2 together are the outputs, but it is very difficult to define the outcomes, very difficult to achieve the outcomes, and the university leaders must focus on these outcomes. Lastly, I look at institutional issues. If you want to promote entrepreneurship, if you want to promote innovation, if you want to promote employability, then there are many institutional issues which have to be sorted out. That is the responsibility of us university leaders. In all this, fundamental principle is the essence of benchmarking. I'm sure you all look at NARF very closely. Who are the institutions who are ahead of them? Who are behind us? Doesn't matter. Who are ahead of us? That is the process of benchmarking. There is an excellent definition of benchmarking by the International Benchmarking Clearinghouse in terms of business. The essence of benchmarking is the practice of being humble enough to admit that someone else is better at something and being wise enough to try to learn how to match and even surpass them at it. As they give the example of NIRF, there are institutions which are ahead of us. You look at the different elements of the processes in which they are ranked, and then where is it that they are better than us? Therefore, study them and try to be equal to them and subsequently be better than them. That is benchmarking. It's a fundamental responsibility of the institutional leaders. There are many issues in higher education. I am looking at 3 of them. The gap, there is a gap, it's a generation gap, those who teach and those who learn. That gap is a fundamental gap, and we need to keep that in mind while we teach the students. The next one, I look at those who recruit and those who seek jobs. The graduates that we produce and the companies which come to recruit them, there's a big difference in the perspectives of these 2 sets of people. So these are gaps, and the question is, how do we close these gaps? NEP talks about it, and we have all been educators, Professor Sharma and I and so on, many other people. We have been talking about the lack of autonomy for our institutions over the past at least 40 years. What is autonomy? Whom to teach, deciding on whom to teach, what to teach, who will teach, and how to assess. And there are 4 sets of autonomy: academic, administrative, and so on. You would think that autonomy is a good thing, then all our colleges and universities would have autonomy. You're completely mistaken. There was a beautiful project which still continues in the 5th phase, TEQUIP, Technical Education Quality Improvement Program. It is a major project, partly funded by the Union government and partly funded by the World Bank. I was lucky to be a part of many of the initial stages of organization. One of the preconditions was that all the institutions under TEQUIP should be given autonomy. Autonomy is an interesting thing. It has to be given, it has to be taken, and it has to, we should involve the faculty members in achieving the result of autonomy. It has to be given by ultimately the UGC, then the state government, and the universities. It has to be taken by the individual institutions which seek autonomy, the affiliated colleges. At the moment, according to reliable estimate, it's only 20% of our institutions which are autonomous, in spite of what the National Education Policy says. And it hasn't put in any implementation steps for providing autonomy to all the institutions. So autonomy is just lip service. If you want to change, you need autonomy. You can't depend upon university, you can't depend upon the state government to help you to implement change. You have to do it yourself. It has to come from within, and therefore you need autonomy. You want change for the better, you need autonomy. One other point I would like to make, whenever we have discussions about why things are not happening, why things are bad, is it the system or is it the people, right? Usually don't we think about it? Is it the university or the people who are administrators in the university, the faculty members and so on, particularly when we talk about quality and performance. In a very simplistic manner, there are 2 variables here, system or people. So there are 4 possibilities: good system and good people. You wouldn't want to touch them. Like the IIMs, they are bothered about 20 years ago. A good system and bad people, which is what I think we have in this country, bad people will not allow the good system to continue as a good system. They will ruin the system. Bad system and good people, there is hope for such institutions. The good people will try to change it, university policies, the government policies, and so on. Bad system and bad people, it is a deadly combination. Here is an interesting thing, which is schematically given. It is a product of the design house. Partnership. We need collaborations, we need partnership if we want to succeed. And here we're looking at 2 partners, industry and the university or the institution. We are depicted as these 2 animals, it doesn't matter. So each of us wants to succeed. Success is given by the ability to partake of that pile of hay, which is our food. So we work against each other. Neither of us will get the benefit. We have to come together, think. Then come together and both of us can enjoy both piles. Isn't that interesting? When I was the chairman of AICTE, we had 4 regional workshops, each of them of a major effort, where all the state governments were involved. It was held in the state capitals, and with the education minister of one of them being the chief guest. The faculty members and the industry people, they were the participants. We did it along with CII, and we put a precondition. Normally, when these workshops happen, seminars happen, I'm sure you have also experienced it, the faculty will say, we want so many things from industry. Industry will say, we want so many things from the institutions. I have a detailed set of slides on this. So we said, each will not ask what the other would bring to the table. Each will only say what they themselves will bring to the table. It's a fundamental change in the approach to the industry institute interaction. If you think about it, so This figure, you think about it when you want to collaborate. The last two slides, we are all on a quality and excellence journey, whether it is an entrepreneurship, innovation, or whatever. So our current status is given at the left bottom, and what we want to do is to move to the right top, which I have indicated world class. It is difficult to define it, but even then, you have a fair perception of what it is. So it has to go through stages. You cannot jump to world class from your current status. First of all, you have a set of strengths, talent, infrastructure, funds, and so on. So first you achieve the full potential commensurate with existing resources and talents. You make everything efficient, time-bound, and so on. That has to be done first. And then you try to become the nation's best as defined by NIRF. And then you can talk and think about becoming world-class institution. Remember this, because you go to any institution, what do you want to be? You want to be a world-class institution, but you understand this. Last, no, the real impediments to progress, I've indicated a number of them here. Chalta hai attitude is one. Interesting thing, when we go for accreditation, I don't go anymore, but when I used to go, ask the faculty members, those who do not have a PhD, what do you want to be, your aspiration? I want to get a PhD. Why do you want to get a PhD? Simple reason. You get promotion, you get higher salary, and so on. After that, what? If you are an assistant professor, become a professor, and so on. After that, what? Keep asking this question. People are not understanding the various levels of excellence in our profession. For example, the fellowships of the Indian professional associations like the Institution of Engineers, that is one level. Then, ultimately in India, like in any other country, there are national academies. We have 4 academies, major academies, 3 sciences and 1 engineering. So you become a fellow of these academies. It doesn't come to the mind of faculty members. They are not aware of it. It's a lack of awareness. Therefore, there are continuous levels of hierarchy of progress which are available and which are not aware of. Think about it. Make sure that your faculty members are aware of these things. And lastly, I say that what is the road ahead? Because looking into the future is an important activity for university leaders and faculty members. The destination is fairly clear. We want to be globally competitive. We have to be academically reputed systems and processes. We have to come up high in world rankings. Roadmap, there are several roadmaps. NEP is a roadmap. National policies, that is an science, technology, and innovation policy. How many of you are aware of this policy? It is also enunciated very recently. An excellent policy. It is a follower or a successor of the earlier science policy, technology policy statement, and so on. So it's a beautiful statement of our objectives for technology and science and innovation goals. Benchmarking. But we have several impediments on the way: lack of commitment, delays, policy paralysis, complacency, and many other usual suspects. There is one other important consideration in modern world. It is an age of rapid change. We have all seen that. Think about the telephones, for instance, where we were 40 years ago and where we are now. It is amazing that telephones are used, the smartphones are used, and the cell phones are used so extensively in the villages for getting market information, for telling people about what produce they have, and for weather, and the government is also assisting it in quite a big way, and then the resource inputs and things like that. So this is an age of rapid change we are living in. As far as faculty members are concerned, what the students come to the classes as prior learning is enormous. So we have to equal and be ahead of them. And all this is happening so rapidly. Change is happening, and change is happening rapidly. So speed is of essence. So if we are complacent and do nothing, then we will lose the race most definitely. Therefore, we must start acting now. Coming back to teachers and entrepreneurship, I have not steered away from these 2 topics. I've indicated what the essence of entrepreneurship is and what the major responsibilities of teachers are. We have to combine them together. The topic does not matter. It is what teachers have to do in terms of creating employment for your students. And entrepreneurship is only one of the many ways, particularly in the rapid changes in the manner in which work is organized. This is very important. And if you don't succeed in organized employment, we won't succeed in entrepreneurship either. These are not this or the other. This is both. We have to provide entrepreneurship, not only education, but the ability to utilize the talents that they have, the environment that is among us, and making use of the company policies, making use of the government policies, try to achieve success in whatever manner you want to define it. So let me stop here, and if there are any questions, discussion, need for explanation, whatever, I'll be happy to do so.
Thank you. Thank you so much indeed, Professor Natarajan. It's a matter of sheer delight to hear you. I noted several takeaways from your such an inspiring address. The first one is, of course, to send the message to the teachers that in tomorrow's world, the teachers would teach and they would also function as entrepreneurs while they are still on the roles of the university or college. And therefore, flexible working for teachers would also be a phenomenon as much as it would be for the workers of the industries or corporate. Likewise, the students, after joining the job, would have an opportunity to run their own business as well as to have flexibility of working more than one organization. Those days are ahead. So I think the good days ahead are ahead for the teachers who would be entrepreneurs themselves alongside with teachers and mentors of the kind which the new world requires. But what I've noted most that the universities are best positioned because they have knowledgeable people, they have the culture of creativity, research, and innovation within the campuses, and they also have an environment by which the students and teachers can work together on new ideas and its translation to startups. What I've also noticed from you at your lecture, sir, is a difference between a startup and an enterprise, small businesses. Startups are usually seen in terms of disrupting the market, and that's what exactly happening at the moment. I really want the startups not only to be only for disruption, let them be for reconstruction of the economy, reconstruction of the workplace, reconstruction of new age enterprises. And therefore, a major shift in our approach to startup is basically needed, and I'm sure the food for thought has been given by your lecture. Last but not the least, two very important definitions you have given. One is what entrepreneurship as an entrepreneur as an innovator, and that too coming in 1934. 1934 was perhaps the very best time when the great thinkers were around. In fact, 1931, the book on science was The Science of Life. The science of life. So the entire science must really align itself toward the science of life. I'm so happy that entrepreneurs as innovators was conceived in those days. Today is the age of innovation. It's the age of continuous innovation, and it's the age of innovation infinite. So I'm sure that that has a great meaning. And last but not the least, that innovation is the business of the businesses. I think nothing can be compressed in such beautiful words than the one you have really put in so beautifully. So I'm sure my teachers are highly excited. A lot of good questions are here. Ladies and gentlemen, you are in the company of the very best mind which India can build together. The former professor of IIT Madras, former director of IIT Madras, former chairman of AICTE, former chairman of Indian Academy of Engineering of our country, and of course, a world-renowned global educator and innovator, Dr. Natarajan sir. Such a great privilege to have you. Dr. Sanjana, can you please drive the questions which are already there on the screen?
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, sir.
You are muted.
Yeah, Sanjana, you are muted.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your wonderful presentation. So a few questions are there on the question answer box. Dr. Bishakla Mandal, she wanted to ask that most students nowadays do not take their studies seriously. How and what are the ways to motivate them to become entrepreneurs?
Now, first of all, I would like to question that statement. Good students are always, they look for the education as a means of achieving their aspirations, whether it's postgraduate education or jobs or whatever. it is difficult to motivate students who are not interested. So you have to create interest first, and then satisfy the questions they have, the mentoring that they need, and so on. A lot of opportunities are available now. Government is doing many things, and as you know, industries are doing many things. Most of the industries go to the institutions in the fourth year, and they give them hands-on training and experience in order for them to merge into the industrial job situation in a very effective fashion. A lot of good things are happening.
Okay, sir. So the next question is from Ms. P. Lakshmi Nair, that a teacher inculcates entrepreneur education among students. How can a teacher adopt to this new shift in teaching and learning methods? Very good question, P. Lakshmi Nair.
A very good question.
Yeah.
Now, you know, you have to look at, again, benchmarking what other good institutions are doing. Institutions like the Indian Institute of Science and IITs, they permit their faculty members to take off 1 year, for instance, at a time. No teaching responsibility. You are not affiliated to the institution, but then go create your own industry, for instance. Isn't that a good role model for students to have? And in countries like Germany and the US, every faculty member is expected to start a company, is expected to have an entrepreneurship experience by himself. And therefore, he employs the graduate students and other students and gives them hands-on practical experience. So there are many examples. It's not easy for every teacher to become an entrepreneur and an innovator. Our major outputs are papers and publications and so on. There's a small number of us, you know, for instance, we create products, we obtain patents and things like that. It's a small number even today. These are special people, and the institutions must cultivate these people.
Yes.
Absolutely.
There's one more question about how to teach entrepreneurship. Do the teachers need to be trained and properly prepared to teach the new age entrepreneurship techniques?
This is a question that is very often asked in conferences. And one of the answers that I found to be illuminating is the fact not everything that you need to teach to the students can be taught. No, there are many characters. Can you teach it? Can you teach values? It is similarly entrepreneurship. So what you do is you have to look at successful entrepreneurs. You have to look at entrepreneurs who have failed. What are the reasons for the success and what are the reasons for the failure? And I mentioned a few types of failures. And therefore, you avoid the failures and you follow the successful techniques.
So next question is from Dr. Roshan Arya, that do teachers need to be trained more for learning innovative methods of teaching entrepreneurship?
Yes, that will definitely help. And there are means of doing this. Faculty development programs like what you have, and the faculty who teach them must be successful entrepreneurs who succeeded in becoming unicorns, who have succeeded in becoming, you know, starting up and so on. So there are such people. See, there are two ways of looking at this. Even industry practitioners, for instance. So it is not only the academic teachers, we can give them one aspect of education. The other aspect of education is how to succeed in industry and how to succeed in business. It has to come from people from industry, So our example I can give you, we had every week a 3-hour lecture by a successful industrialist or a successful entrepreneur. And then he himself gives at the end of the 2.5 hours, a set of questions, and he evaluates them and gives the results, because the students will not learn unless there is, you know, questions and marking. Therefore, that also was taken into consideration. We have to find out factors which promote success in our programs.
Definitely, absolutely.
I was looking at what you said about Dr. Peter Drucker, the management guru of the world, one of the very best. And he's on record to say that, like any other discipline, entrepreneurship can also be taught. What he was really perhaps trying to say that you need to have properly framed curriculum, teaching methodologies, as well as course material by which you are able to create leaders. For a very long, we were thinking that acting is by birth. You can be an actor. You are born as an actor, people used to say. But when they set up the Institute of Film and Television at Pune, we found that the best of the actors and actresses have come out. Uh, Amitabh Bachchan was born, Rajesh Khanna was born, and several others. And we loved them so much at that time. So it appears to me that like you can teach and coach and prepare film actor and actresses, you can also prepare highly successful entrepreneurs, provided you go about in a manner as it is required. So I think that's one of very good point. And we, in our university system, we need to really look at it from close quarters, what need to be done in order to really prepare a program or initiative by which we are able to coach and prepare entrepreneurs of tomorrow. I think this is an agenda, and I'm sure IITs must be doing it. I had a question to ask from you also. How many rupees it required to set up an innovation incubator? Because I know IIT Madras has a very successful innovation incubator. We do have here in Amity University, Haryana also. But I'm asking this question on behalf of the participant, because each one of them would go back and ask their principal or vice chancellor that why don't we set up an innovation incubator here? And the principal or vice chancellor would ask how much money is involved. What according to you is the answer?
It's not a direct answer. Get a consultant. Get a university professor who have achieved success in entrepreneurship and innovation to come and talk to you, because it is context related. It depends upon, we all talk about the culture of scholarship, the culture of innovation and so on. So that culture, if it already exists, then it is easier to do it. One of the examples, again, I'm talking about is the technology parks. You have create infrastructure and provide an environment in which innovation can take place, and then rent it out to people who want to create products. We even have a set of labs created by the defense system. The strategic sector, defense system has set up a set of labs there where a lot of good work is taking place.
In fact, the great innovators of the world like Bill Gates and others, they started up without money. They started up without major facilities. Now, when I was principal of Delhi College of Engineering, my students were desirous to become entrepreneurs. They wanted an innovation incubator to be set up. Being a government college, I had no money, but I had a big heart and a big mind. I said, I'll set up an incubator without asking for a penny from the government. What I did, I asked the student, what do you need to be an innovator? They said, sir, we require a place where we can sit and work. All we require connectivity if you can provide free. So all I did is to discover a room which was lying vacant, converted that into an incubator, connected them to the connectivity lease line which I had for free, and allowed them to work 24/7, which means entry to that area was open for 24/7. Only thing, there was a register, you have to log in at what time you have come and what time you have gone. Believe it or not, many of them turned out to be real entrepreneurs. They hit headlines during their stay at the institution and thereafter. Today, this owner of this promoter, rather, the founder of the Ola Motors, which is hitting headlines for the commercial vehicles, electric vehicles, Saurabh Kumar, he is a graduate of that time. He wanted only a space, a small table and a chair and a plug-in for his laptop in those days, and connectivity, nothing else. And look at it today, he's a very successful entrepreneur. Vijay Shekhar Sharma was of that kind at that time. He wanted only a space, nothing else, because he knew that mentorship is already there. The great teachers are already around. Library is not very far, so a lot of reservoir of knowledge exists in the institution, and their connectivity to industry they themselves create, because they go to the industry, sensitize them, and build a lot of actually support. So my judgment is that, really speaking, innovation incubator could start without money to begin with, and then we can put more money as the time goes by and create great facilities. And one of the destinations for all the participants in this program, in my opinion, they must go and see the Tea Hub of Hyderabad. Tea Hub of Hyderabad. This is located inside the Indian Institute of Information Technology campus, and one of the finest facility I've seen in my life for innovation incubator. And this has been set up for almost 1,000 innovators at a time. And it could be as cheap as 2 to 3,000 rupees per month. You buy a table space and they give you a place to work and place to innovate with all connectivity and ambience of the kind you require. They connect you to the innovator, incubate, investors as well as industry experts and mentors as you may require. So that's the kind of facility I'm sure at a high level. At the lower level, every institution can earmark a space where a student can freely come and work using their own mobiles with the facility and resources which the institution already has. But must go to IIT Madras also to see the great innovation and its translation into new product and services that has happened. Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjana. Any other question, Dr. Natarajan?
One question is there that kindly cite any example how to create among students entrepreneur mindset. This question is from Dr. Shikha Ranjan.
Get successful entrepreneurs, particularly those who are your alumni, to come and interact with the students. I won't say teach the students, interact with the students. PSG Institute of Technology does a good job. For example, at the end of each year, they have a huge exhibition of alumni who have succeeded, particularly as entrepreneurs, because if you belong to a big organization, then that is not as much appreciated by students as individuals, because there's a lot of opportunity for young people to succeed as entrepreneurs in that region. It's an industrial city. It used to be called the Manchester of South India. So that was one means of doing it. You have to think of innovative ways of getting touching the hearts of students, the hearts and minds of students. It is an emotional experience becoming an entrepreneur and succeeding.
Absolutely right. You have to put your students regularly in contact with the successful entrepreneurs. Many of them could be alumni of our own university or institution. Also put them in contact with those who failed and succeeded thereafter. Because one-time failure or two-time failure is not enough. In America,
they would not be happy to come and talk about their failure.
No harm in looking at the failure. Believe me, when I became the Vice Chancellor of Technological University, I invited the Technological University Vice Chancellor to Bhopal. I wanted to learn from them the successes which they have registered and failures, if any, they have encountered. And they freely shared their limitations and problems. And I became wiser right at the start, could not really pass through those same failures which others might have fought. So I think it's very important for us to invite the successful entrepreneurs as well as those who have failed but succeeded thereafter. If they can share their success stories as well as failure and how have they overcome those failures. I think this is something which in our Amity University, we have made it a point, Dr. Natarajan. Every Thursday afternoon, we are inviting industry experts to come and share their thoughts with our students so that they can excite about the current and future challenges as well as excite their imagination about the new technologies and know-how which need to be developed. And we are also inviting successful entrepreneurs for our innovation incubators so that the student can really learn a lot from them and excite the imagination of the younger ones to become great in their own lifetime. I'm sure the great days are ahead, both for the student community as well as for teachers. People like me always wanted to remain in tie and suit and look smart. So I started becoming thinking that I must earn more than my salary. So at IIT Delhi, when Professor Natarajan sir was there, we entered into the pathway of research and development and also consultancies. So I was doubling my salary every year in IIT. So as a result, I could afford to spend more. So the teachers tomorrow, I'm sure, would be having avenues by which they would be able to earn beyond their salary from the consultancies, from the entrepreneurship, from the startup which they promote, from the intellectual property that they create, the intellectual property which they commercialize, they would have ample opportunities to learn. I learned it, in fact, in Birmingham and thereafter at IIT Delhi very well. And I continued to, in fact, foster this environment of earning beyond the salary from consultancy and from the earnings which you make from your intellectual property and several other pursuits. That's the pathway, in fact, for a country like India, where teachers need to be very well supported to satisfy their research as well as innovation need. I'm sure it can be done in all institutions. There's no dearth of good quality consultant or good quality test houses and good quality consultancy which our teachers can provide.
Thank you, sir.
I think it's a great privilege and honor to have you, sir, with us at the at this very important capacity building program. We were looking forward to connecting you to our university, and I thought this is the best opportunity to have you at this program. And I was very much delighted to look at your slides. Each one of them had tremendous meaning, and they would inspire, I'm sure, the participants in a big way to think of becoming entrepreneurs themselves, as well as to promote and foster entrepreneurship in their institution.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Natarajan, once again, thank you for your precious time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, dear participants, we have come to the end of the program. And thank you so much, Professor Natarajan, sir, for giving your wider perspective on getting ready for the future of work, along with the emphasizing on understanding what is temporary and what is transformative. Also, the reasons why most entrepreneurs fail. And in the last, highlighting the levels of hierarchy of progress in which fellowship is the first step. Thank you so much for being with us. Thank you so much.
Just before Professor Natarajan disconnects and we call curtains for this program, I must really look at one more question which Professor Natarajan has asked. In one of the slides, Professor Natarajan has put in who will teach and to whom to teach. For a very long time, we were thinking that only teachers will teach and teachers will teach students. But we are in a new set of terms today where teachers and students could teach each other. In fact, if you invite a bright student to teach the course, I tell you, he will be able to share his mind much better. And that way a team could be formed of teacher and student together to go beyond the limits of knowledge that are sketched out in the reservoir of knowledge or in the books of knowledge. So team teaching today involving the brightest of the minds of students, both those who are in the current class or those who were in the class which has just passed. It would be really great. Similarly, teachers and industry experts together can teach a subject. It's not right for me to deliver all the sermons, 30, 40 hours of lectures in a particular subject. Part of this can be done by industry expert also, taking him on board as a part of team teaching. So, and whom to teach? Don't think that we are here to teach only students. Today, you have an environment by which you are able to teach and train those who are already in the workplace. And therefore, a lot of training and retraining and education for those who are already employed is also becoming more and more a business of the university and colleges. And we are also here where teachers are teaching teachers. I mean, this program is like that, where you have the listeners as the teacher, participants as teachers. Similarly, in a college or university, a good teacher, a great teacher can mentor other teachers. So teachers teaching teachers, teachers and students together teaching, teachers and industry experts forming a team along with bright student and teaching in the class, I think are the new ways by which we have to work together. Thank you so much for instigating our mind to think in this direction, Dr. Natarajan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Dear participants, I'm posting this feedback form on the chat box. Kindly fill up this feedback form. Tomorrow, dear students, we have last day of this capacity enhancement training workshop. So be on time. Tomorrow we have two important sessions. The first session will be the normal sessions, and it will be taken by Mr. Professor Wazim Mansoor, who will be taking the session. He is coming directly from Dubai. He will be connecting with us directly from Dubai to take the session. And the last session would be the validity session. So don't miss tomorrow's session. Kindly fill up this feedback form just now. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, all the participants. Maqsood, you can just wind up the session now. Thank you.